Is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hi, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for joining us for today's first and only webinar. We've got a super session planned for you on 5 simple tweaks to get better results from your coaching website. Now, as always, can I ask you to please raise your hand to let me know that you can hear me loud and clear and that the sound is working okay? Okay, fantastic. Thank you very much. Those of you that are joining us through iPads, iPhones, Androids, and other mobile devices, I apologize if you are not able to raise your hands, but I assure you your fellow colleagues and teammates have done that for you so we can hear you. Not to worry. Okay, if you haven't already, I urge you to join our Facebook page, facebook.com/WBECS. It's a fantastic resource. We post some great sessions on there. I've just posted a session by Howard Morgan, which was yesterday, all about how to coach clients that are more knowledgeable and smarter than you are. It was a super session. Howard himself has coached people like Charles Schwab and some of the most intelligent business folk in the world. And he has a very interesting perspective on that, and it was a very popular session. I'm going to try and get that out to everybody as well today. Okay, now Ian's going to be having quite an interactive session, so please feel free to ask questions throughout. There's no reason why you can't ask anything at all relating to coaching websites, your marketing. At the end, we will be having a live demonstration of a website critique, I believe. So that's something to look forward to. But anyhow, what I'd like to do is introduce you to today's speaker. Today's speaker is Ian Brody. He's a coach marketing specialist, and he was recently voted as one of the top global thought leaders in marketing and sales. He specializes in helping coaches and consultants attract and win more clients, and is known for his expertise in online marketing, and was recently voted, as I say, one of the leaders in marketing and sales by Top Sales World magazine. Ian has been helping some of the world's leading organizations with their marketing and sales challenges for over 17 years. And more importantly, he has walked the talk and sold multi-million-dollar consulting engagements across multiple countries and cultures. I am actually going to be going into business, or in fact, we are in business. We've been working together for about the last year to put together what is going to be something amazing, which we can't tell you much about now, but it's going to be all about executive coach marketing. So look forward to that in the summertime. Anyhow, without further ado, I would like to hand over to my very good friend, Ian Brody.
Hey Ben, thanks very much. Hello everyone. We have got a ton of material to get through, so I'm going to jump straight into the content. As it says in the title, what we're going to talk about today are all changes to your website. They're going to be very simple to make, with one exception, which we'll go into. They won't take a ton of time, they won't cost a lot of money, and they won't need you to do a lot of technical stuff. But first, I'm going to introduce you to, I guess, a guy you would call our spiritual guide in this session. This is a guy called John Caples. He was a pioneer in applying scientific methods to advertising and marketing. In his very first year as a copywriter, he wrote this legendary advert that you may have seen. They laughed when I sat down at the piano, but when I started to play, it was for the US School of Music. It made them millions over many, many decades. Later years, he was creative director of BBDO and taught at Columbia Business School. And one of the things he's the most remembered for is this phrase: first, you need to enter the conversation going on in your prospect's mind. And we're going to use that phrase to guide us in today's session. So in other words, instead of interrupting people with your agenda, Caples is saying you'll have far greater success starting from where they are right now and what they're preoccupied with, and then gently leading them to where you'd like them to be. And you can apply this to all of your marketing. If you think of your marketing as a conversation between your potential client and your letter or your email or your website, whatever your marketing is. So your potential client is initially thinking certain things. They're asking themselves certain questions, and your marketing needs to answer those questions, and then it'll trigger further questions. You need to answer those. So for example, if you send someone an email, their first question is, should I bother opening it? So your subject line has to give them a reason to think they'll get something useful if they do open that email. So we're going to apply that methodology of seeing your website as a conversation with your clients that starts with where they are and the questions they're asking. So let's start by thinking about the different phases that your clients go through when they're thinking of hiring a coach. So if you typically think of that journey that your client goes on, usually they start off not actually interested. Usually they don't see that they have a problem that's worth solving, even if they actually have one and you can see it from outside. So they don't think there's an issue and they don't think it's important. Then at some point, something changes. They might get frustrated with their management team not working together well, or their sales dip, or they've got cash flow problems, whatever it is in the areas that they work on. So something happens and they decide, actually, I'm going to have to do something here. I have a problem, or I have an opportunity. But at that point, they don't immediately jump to thinking of hiring a coach. They spend most of their time exploring the issue first. So in olden days, they'd have looked around. Of course, they still do. They'd have asked their peers, my team's not working well together. What have you found? Have you tried anything? What do you think I should be doing? Of course, these days, they jump onto Google and they go and search. In fact, Google themselves did some research late last year where they looked at how far in advance of a purchase people were doing the most research online. And typically for a large purchase, it was at least 4-6 months in advance when they were searching and doing most of their research. And at that stage, they're not searching for someone to help them. They're searching for useful ideas, options, what's causing this lack of teamwork, what is it I can do about increasing sales? Is it a team problem? Is it a training problem? Is it I've got the wrong products? And so they're searching around to try and find and get to grip with what their issue is. Then once they've got a grip, and once they think they understand what's going on, then they start searching for solutions. So they look, and if they decide that the solution is to hire a coach, then they'll start creating a short list of potential coaches, looking at them, weighing up their different options. Now, we're going to look at the first thing to say is that in that first scenario, that first mindset where clients don't see a problem, the chances are those clients are at that stage are never going to end up on your website. It's not really worth worrying about them too much. You could maybe do something with some clever advertising on, banner advertising that would wake them up to their problem. But it's a real difficult thing to try and persuade people who don't see that they've got a problem to suddenly come over to your website and start looking for things. The two phases to focus on, the two mindsets, are where they've got a problem and they're exploring the issue, or when they've moved on to searching for solutions. Now we're actually going to look at the second scenario first, searching for solutions. Now in truth, most people at any given time are more likely to be in the exploring the issues phase, and we'll come on to that one a bit later. But as a bare minimum, your website needs to be able to address the needs of people who are actually looking for a coach and help them see that you could be the right person to work with them. So as I say, we're going to work at that first. And the big differences are that people who are still exploring the issue are looking for ideas and insight. So they're not looking to see whether you're the best coach in the world. They're just looking for ideas and insight at that stage. Once they start looking for a coach, they're looking to see whether you're the right person to help them. So what I'd like you to do is to imagine a scenario where your ideal potential client visits your website. So let's say that they've met you, or they've heard of you somehow, or they've been referred to you, or they found your site on Google and they're looking to hire a coach. Now, of course, you won't be the only person they're considering. So what you do is you imagine them standing on the Google search results page, or some page that links to yours, and they click on your website. So what they're doing is they're putting 1 foot forward into your website to take a look around, but they're keeping 1 foot firmly back in Google or back on the previous site, and they're ready to step back and pull that foot back at any minute if they don't see what they want. So think of that conversation going on in their head. What are they going to be thinking? Well, the first thing that people are thinking of, usually subconsciously and usually very, very quickly, is, am I safe? We've got our kind of lizard brain is constantly on the lookout for whether something new that we see is going to attack us, whether we can eat it or whether we can mate with it. And in the first 50 milliseconds, according to research from Carleton University in Ottawa, we form an initial impression of a website. So does it look easy to use? Does it look like the other websites I know? what we're doing is we're looking to try and make sure we're going to be safe on that site. So if we immediately get hit by pop-ups or the kind of site that looks like it's trying to sell us some kind of get-rich-quick scheme, or it looks like some teenager developed it in the 1980s, then we're going to feel uncomfortable and we're going to hit the back button pretty quickly. Once we get past that, on the assumption we feel comfortable, your clients feel comfortable on your site, then they start engaging their conscious brain and looking for what they need. So the next couple of seconds, they're looking around, and the question they're asking themselves is, am I in the right place? Is this the kind of website that's for people like me? So in other words, they're asking themselves, does this person work with people like me, and can they solve my problem or help me achieve my goals? Now remember, your clients are busy people. They've probably got a short list of half a dozen or so sites to look at. So if it's not clear within the first couple of seconds, and without having to click around to find stuff, that you work with people just like them and on the sort of issues that they have, then there's a good chance that they'll hit the back button and start looking elsewhere. So you need a site to be very clear early on. So in this case, this is a guy who's a coach for house remodelers. So we solve marketing and sales problems for remodelers. It's very clear early on who he works with. A site for helping women advance their careers. It says right up front, advancement for women. It's more difficult to see on this one, but it's easy to see when you go to the website. Coaching for lawyers. It's very clear who they work with. So the first simple tweak that many sites miss is to make it crystal clear straight away who you work with and what you do for them. Otherwise, you'll lose a lot of potential clients to the back button very early on, where you may have great stuff on that site, but if they can't see instantly that it's for them, that it's for people who are just like them and solves the problems that they have, then they're going to go off and check the next site. So once they've got over that, once they know they're in the right place and this site is relevant for them, the next thing they think of is, what will I get from this website? So in other words, what's your value proposition? Now, by a value proposition, I'm not talking about some kind of generic, hey, you can get 500% ROI from coaching, etc. What do they get specifically from you? So on this site, it says business coaching and support for higher growth, turnover, and profits. So it's immediately clear that if you work with this guy, you're going to get higher growth, turnover, and profits. And that's backed up. If you click around on his website for case studies, it's backed up by specific results from clients he's worked with. Going back to the guy who does remodeling, we solve marketing and sales problems for remodelers. It's clear if you've got a marketing and sales problem, then that's what he's going to work on. On this one, which is executive coaching, it's not just generic executive coaching, it's helping busy professionals, so it's not everyone, busy professionals slow down, reflect, and create a plan to achieve exceptional results at work and greater balance in their life. So it's clear the results you're going to get from this sort of person working with her is about work-life balance and relaxing, etc., not just improving the performance of your business. So it needs to be very clear what value people are going to get. We're not talking about here clever strap lines that say, with us, it's all about you. Or, you know, we bring a unique brand of coaching and mentoring for individuals and organizations. That's all very nice, but it doesn't really say what I'm going to get from working with you. Or for some reason, executive coaches in particular seem very, very keen to put quotes on their website. Great leaders move us. They ignite our passion, inspire the best in us, is the kind of strap line on one website I looked at. It's a quote, I think, from Daniel Goleman. All very nice, but it doesn't tell the person visiting what you're going to do for them. So tweak number 2 is to have a clear value proposition that tells potential clients exactly what they'll get from working with you. Now, partially that's in the strapline or the headline of the site, and partially it's then in the details when they click through. And it's about working with you. It's not about an ICF study that shows that working with a coach gives a 700% ROI. It's not an analogy with athletes using coaches all the time, so you should too. Those are both very weak reasons for working with you. It's a bit like a dentist saying that people who visited other dentists didn't feel any pain, so you shouldn't either when you come to me. It's not a strong argument. You've got to talk specifically about what people get from working with you. So once your client has figured out they're in the right place and you deal with people like them, they figured out what they'll get from you, the value they'll get, the next question they're going to be asking themselves is, okay, I'm going to get bigger growth, my team's going to work better, but do I believe this person? Can I believe them? Does this make sense? And that's where your testimonials come in. Now, testimonials have a couple of characteristics. The first thing is they've got to be not just focused on how great it was to work with you. If you look on most coaching websites, what you'll see is testimonials saying, it was a pleasure working with Ian, it was great to work with Ian, he was fantastic, we got on really well. But that's not going to inspire someone to hire you, because they're looking for results to be delivered. They're looking for problems to be solved. You want to focus on them. In addition, something that you hardly ever see, but that can be really crucial, is talking about the initial concerns or objections that your clients had. So most of the time, by the time someone's got as far as reading testimonials, they're already thinking of working with you at least a little bit. So they don't need to be reminded time and time again how great you are. They've already accepted that. And they've usually, after the first couple of testimonials talking about results, they've moved beyond the need to see even more about results. At this stage, they've probably got a set of concerns in their mind about working with you. Things like, will I get results fast enough? Will coaching work with someone like me? Will we get on together? Will he understand my business? Now, whatever those concerns are for your typical clients, one of the best ways to address those concerns is through a testimonial. So having a testimonial saying, I was initially worried about fitting in coaching into my schedule, but I found that, etc., etc., or I was skeptical early on about how fast we'd see improvements, but. So if potential clients with those specific concerns in their mind see a normal testimonial, it doesn't do anything to alleviate those concerns. But if they see testimonials that specifically talk about those concerns, then they feel more comfortable taking the next step. Make sure you've got testimonials from all your client types. So if you get hired by executives, but HR always have an important say, then make sure there's a testimonial or two from an HR person on your website. And of course, you need to have the testimonials identifiable, ideally pictures of the people giving the testimonials, or even better, a video of them doing it, so it's clear they're not just made up. So tweak number 3 is to focus your testimonials on results and on the concerns potential clients might have. And so the way to do that is when you ask for testimonials. So when you're asking for a testimonial, don't just say, can you do me a testimonial, and leave it at that, because the chances are that your clients won't really know what you're looking for, so they'll do you something generic, and you'll get a testimonial that says how great it was to work with you. Ideally, you want to ask them some specific questions. So, before we started working together, was there anything you were concerned about working together? What was holding you back or caused you to hesitate? What happened with that? Then what results did you get from our work together, and what was the impact of that? So ask specific questions to get more in-depth responses. So you've now got believability. They know they're in the right place. They know you work with people like them. They know what they'll get from working with you, and they believe you because they've seen the testimonials. So they're now looking for the next step. They're now looking to take some action, ideally. So next step is they complete some form or they contact you. Now, when I was looking at coaches' websites to prepare for this webinar, I ran across some that didn't even have a contact page or a contact form. So loads of effort on content on the site, loads of effort describing services, loads of testimonials, but no actual page saying how you'd get in touch with them, which is madness, really. Now, not quite so mad, but very, very common were these bare bones contact pages. So you click onto the page and it shows you a form just like this one, where you fill in your contact details and a question. The problem with that is that people are still a bit tentative when they come to your contact page. They're not fully sure whether the thing they want to contact you about is what your form is for, and they're not sure what's going to happen when they contact you. How fast will you get back to them, which is important if they're under time pressure? Will you discuss things with them on the phone or by email? Is some terrible salesperson going to call them and pressure them to hire you? So if you leave those questions unanswered, it'll result in potential clients just not contacting you. So check out your own website stats. How many submitted contact forms do you get compared to the number of visitors you get to your contact page? If you've just got a bare bones page and a form, then usually it's not very many. So what you need to do instead is spell out the process on your contact page. So what sort of questions can they ask? When and how will you get back to them? What will happen next? You're really trying to take the fear and the uncertainty out of contacting you. And if you make it easier, more people will do it. So tweak number 4 is to make it simple, painless and transparent to contact you. Okay, so far we've looked at some pretty simple tweaks that'll get you better results when people come to your website thinking about hiring a coach. And that's really the baseline that you need to have in place. But I said at the start, usually far more people at any given time aren't quite ready to hire a coach yet. They're still in the early stages of exploring their problem before they decide what to do. So at that point, they're really looking for ideas and insights, not for information about you and your services. So they're visiting your site because they've searched for how to grow sales or how to improve teamwork, how to fix leadership problems. So they've searched on Google, or maybe they've come from social media to a blog post, or they've come from other websites, or they've been referred to your site as a useful resource. So the same thought sequence largely applies, except that when they're thinking about what will I get, they're not thinking about the results of working with you. They're thinking, will I get useful information and ideas from this website? So typically, it means they're looking for information and insights about their problems, goals, and aspirations, and that means blog posts, articles, videos, podcasts, white papers, and tip sheets. That's what they're going to be looking for on your website under those circumstances. What they're not going to be looking for is something telling them what coaching is and why it's so valuable, because at that point in time, they're not yet thinking of hiring a coach. They just want information about their problem. They're also not at that stage interested in why you're great and how you're better than your competitors and why they should hire you. All that stuff is important, but it's not what they're looking for at that point in time. At this stage, it's all about having valuable, useful content. However, there's a catch. What I'd like you to do for a second is just forget about your website and online marketing for a minute and just think about the traditional marketing or business development you do. So whether it's getting referrals or networking, running seminars, writing articles, telemarketing, or just meeting people face to face, the key thing is that when it comes to selling high-value coaching services, you almost never get the sale on the first contact. You know, very few people are going to hire a business coach to make major changes in their company or an executive coach to deal with kind of life-changing issues for them just on the strength of seeing one presentation, one call, one meeting, or even a referral. It takes multiple contacts before people will be ready to buy. So depending on your particular business and your particular clients, it may take 4, 5, 6, 10, 15 different contact points before someone's ready to buy. And that's why in the face-to-face world, follow-up is kind of the killer app. Keeping in touch with your potential clients, adding value, building your relationship, building credibility. Now that's not rocket science. I know you all know it in the offline world. We've known it for centuries. It's an absolutely crucial skill of all great marketers and salespeople and professionals. But when it comes to online marketing and your website, if you look at the stats of almost any website that's getting a decent amount of traffic, then typically less than 30% of your visitors each month are repeat visitors. So in other words, 70% or more of your visitors never come back. Now you've probably seen it yourself. You know, you visit a website, it's really useful, you think to yourself, this is great, you might even bookmark it, meaning to come back. But then, of course, different priorities take over, and when you do get back round, you can't find the thing again. Now the problem with that for you as someone who has a website is that you've then got no follow-up. And we just said it takes multiple contacts before someone is ready to buy high-value coaching services. So without that follow-up online, it means that 70% or more of your website visits are just wasted. That's why the other big thing you need on your site is some way of following up. And by far the most effective and easiest way to follow up is with email marketing. Now, I don't mean hitting people with email sales messages. I mean sending regular, valuable emails that build credibility and trust and get you to pole position as the person they want to work with when they're ready to buy. Now, I don't know if you saw Brendan Bashard's webinar on Friday last week when he talked about OVO. Get an opt-in, deliver value, make an offer. That's essentially what this is all about. But in the coaching world, the offer is usually a soft offer to speak with you for a strategy session or a consultation to talk about working together rather than a product offer. But the key is you have to get an opt-in. People have to want to sign up and want to receive emails from you. And that's something we're going to talk a lot more about in the main WBEX event. So, tweak number 5, attract early stage prospects with valuable content on your site, then follow up with email marketing. Now, to be fair, this is the tweak that probably is quite a big tweak for many people, but it's also incredibly valuable. It's probably going to make the biggest difference over the long term to the results you get from your website. Okay, so those were the 5 tweaks. Ben, we've got about 5 or so minutes, I think, left to do the website reviews. Do you want to get any questions now, or do you think we should jump straight to the website reviews?
Okay, I think we'll jump straight through to the website reviews and then we can have some questions afterwards. But if anyone's got any questions, please post them in the chat box. But yes, let's jump in, Ian.
Righty ho, let's go to website reviews. So I'm just going to go across to my browser. So we had some people volunteer to have their website reviewed. I'm going to do them very, very quickly, just to give you a flavor of the sort of things you should be looking for and the sort of, in line with some of the things we've been talking about. So this is Sabina Nawaz. So this is Sabina's site. So again, think, I'm a potential client. I've just appeared on the site. What am I thinking? Firstly, am I safe? Well, yes, absolutely. I look at this site. It looks professional. Nice big picture of Sabina smiling at us, so it feels safe, it feels friendly. In fact, it's really good to have to see someone who's actually not afraid to hide who they are. You see a lot of coaches hiding behind a kind of corporate imagery rather than actually being upfront, because at the end of the day, a lot of clients are hiring you because you're going to work with them personally. So yes, they feel safe. Is it clear who Sabina works with? Well, it says here, as CEO, you face exceptional demands, you need an exceptional coach. So yes, it's clear it's CEOs. It's not junior executives. It's not business managers. It's CEOs. Maybe, Sabina, you could be a bit more specific. It says down here you work with visionary leaders. Maybe you want to get it up here as visionary CEOs. Maybe those are the only people you want to work with. So have a think about your ideal clients and think, do I need to specify a bit more who those ideal clients are so they can recognize themselves when they come to your site? You want them thinking the instant they get there, yeah, that's me, that's me. Couple of other thoughts. Font size. This is really quite a small font size. Now, I'm mid-40s. I'm struggling to read that. The older and more senior people tend to be a bit older. You might find a lot of CEOs, if they get pointed towards this website, might actually struggle to read it with that size of font size. You've got some good credibility here. You spent 14 years at one of the world's most successful companies, principal architect of their leadership development strategy. I'm wondering if you can actually say who that company is. I went to your LinkedIn profile. I found out who that company was in a couple of minutes. Why don't you just, it is a very prestigious company, maybe worth just coming out and seeing who it is. If we scroll down, you've got a newsletter here. That's kind of hidden. When you first come to the website, you can barely see the newsletter at the bottom here. So if you really do want to use a newsletter, then put that box more prominently. Get it higher up. And also, rather than just saying joining savvy leaders subscribing to the newsletter, why would they want to join? What would they learn? What would they get for free by joining? Is it, weekly leadership tips? Is it, learn how to inspire your team, develop a vision? What is it they're going to learn by subscribing to that newsletter to make it more attractive to do so? You've got some good testimonials, but they're under this thing saying word of mouth. Often with a website, it's good to have things that use standard terminology so people know where to look. So these are actually testimonials. Maybe best to just call it testimonials. Again, a little bit difficult to read here. Good, you've got a picture of yourself rather than stock imagery. A little bit difficult to read. When you've got big testimonials, bring out an important quote in a title. So you've got some things here about, in each quote about the results you delivered with them, put it up as a title in big text up at the top. So if people are just scanning rather than trying to read the whole thing, because many people just won't read the details here, so look at pull out as the title of the testimonial an important quote you want to get there. You have got a great contact page. Again, font's a bit small, but it says if you think I might be the right ear for you, I'd love to hear about it. I'd like to be as responsive as I can due to schedule. Have a waiting list, so please go through here, click, etc., etc. So that's really good. It tells them exactly what's going to happen. They're going to get a 30-minute consultation, etc. They click here to get it. That's all brilliant. But when they click it, they go to a page that says please enter your email address to sign up for our mailing list. That's not what you said they'd get when they clicked. It should be please enter your email address to register for the consultation, and we'll get back to you with details. So you need to change that so it actually reflects what you said they'd get. I'm going to move on to the next one. This is On Track Coach. It's a business coaching company. So again, website looks professional when you get there, nice and clean, easy, a little bit easier to read. Is it clear who? That I'm in the right place when I get here? I'm a bit uncertain here. This is for businesses, so service providers and small business owners, but over here it's got the Business Development Guidebook for lawyers. So are you a coach just for lawyers because that's what your book's for? Or here it says become a business coach. So is this site for business coaches? So I think you need a bit more clarity on who exactly is this site for, because I think you could get some confusion. I like the testimonials here, but you're using stock images. So there's a couple of faces on here that I've seen on hundreds of different websites, and that detracts it. You lose credibility from your testimonials. With testimonials, you want real pictures if you've got them. Like this guy's always on every website. So it makes me think, well, is that really a testimonial? Is this something someone's really said, or are they just making it up? So you need to have who actually said it and not use stock imagery. I always have mixed feelings about sliders because they tend to detract people from the main things on your website. In the case of testimonials, they're sometimes quite helpful. You've actually got some of the results you deliver down here. So going back to what do we get, the results you can count on, revenues, less stress, greater sense of achievement. But look, we have to scroll way down here. I would get so you talk through and what you'll coach them through in the process here. First, I would get the stuff about the results much higher up. You also have a sign-up form for a newsletter. Again, I'm not even sure where to click for that. I can't even see it, where I can click. And get relevant and timely business building content. It's not really very attractive. Give me a reason for signing up. Next one is Luminary Leadership. Now, Luminary Leadership, you've got a splash page here, which is a page that people go to before they get to the main website. I'd just say kill that. It doesn't really add any value. The danger is people don't see much on it. Okay, Luminary Leaders, enter, just take them straight to the website and they can find out what they can there. So kill the splash page. It generally just decreases the number of people who actually see the main content on your website. Question for you is, do people recognize themselves when they come to this website? So, we invite you to take the next step to fulfill your highest destiny, express your full glory as a luminary leader. Will people recognize when they're your target clients? Will they already think of themselves as luminary leaders? Is that a terminology they use? When I look at your What We Do page, you talk about what do we got? People who want soul-inspired life, people having meaning and service. So you talk about who this is for here. I'm just not sure you have enough of who this is for on your homepage that people would be able to recognize themselves. Client profiles is actually details of who you work with. So there's some useful stuff on here. So I would probably call it who we work with rather than client profiles. And again, like the first site, pull out the highlights here rather than clicking through and reading someone's entire life story, which is quite long, and many people aren't going to do it. Rather than just putting client profile 1, put what they got from working with you. Living a better life here. Having more time for his family. Whatever it is they get from you, capture that down there so I can see what that actual profile is all about. And get those results. Final one, we've not got much sense. This is Firm Sense. Sally, who owns Firm Sense, says the website is still under development. She's just refreshing it right now, so don't be too harsh on it. So that's fair enough. The first thing I think, when I come to the website, it's very blue, and it's a little bit difficult to read. It's kind of bold blue on blue. So I would think about whether you really want that. You might want to get a kind of cleaner image. You'll find a lot of, it's very clear who Sally works with, the law firm client care specialist, so that's good. A lot of the law firms these days have very clean websites like this. White, clear text. So you probably want a website that feels comfortable to your ideal clients. So think about making it look perhaps like their site. But it is clear who you work with. What do I get from working with you? It's not really clear until down here. You see, you do client care interviews that will really help people understand more what their clients are really looking for, and therefore to be able to position themselves and sell to them better and have a competitive advantage. But I don't really get that till I've read the details down here. So get that up front. You might want to have a big headline instead of saying welcome to Firm Sense, someone saying get the vital feedback your clients won't tell your partners, something like that, which would get people interested. Things like testimonials. I think you've got some good testimonials, but expand on them a bit and get the bigger ones first. And again, they're difficult to read. Pull out the headlines. You've got a good thing on when to use Firm Sense, but you've split the site here so that people's attention is drawn down here as opposed to down here where you really want them to read, which is when they should be using you. So I would again simplify this, just focus on that. Don't split into two columns because people's eyes are always drawn left and right. You want just a simple vertical column that they can read down in the order that you want them to read it. I'm going to cut it there. We're just about out of time for those reviews. Hope that has given you a little sense of what the sort of things you need to be looking for on your website. Ben, have we had any questions come in?
Yes, we have. If you have any questions, we're going to have about 5 minutes of questions right now. So please feel free to ask your questions there. Start with this one. You said about pictures being a must for testimonials. Is a name, title, and company enough?
The more you can do to make testimonials believable, the better. We're a bit too skeptical these days about whether it's a made-up testimonial or not. So a name and a job title, great, the company they worked for, maybe a link to their website, that works too. But if you can show a picture of them, for some reason the association of someone's face with the name just makes it more believable to people. Even though you could just, even if logically you could just be making it up and copying someone's picture from the web, the fact that you've got someone's picture next to their name just makes people believe it that bit more.
Thank you for that, Ian. What would you put up front on your website? That is the content that people are looking for when they are exploring their need, or the info about buying your coaching services?
Really good question, and it is the most difficult question of all. It's the reason why websites are and homepages are so difficult, is because they're the most generic on a site and they have to cope with different things. It depends on what your priorities are. So if you look at your website traffic, if I just tell you my story, very early on, I found that most of my website traffic was coming to my website based on searches. They were coming to my website because they were searching for useful articles. So I found, and they were coming to the homepage searching for, marketing for coaches and stuff like that, or how to get more clients. And so on my homepage, I made it more like a blog with useful articles when they first came on, but with some clear menu items that took them to the services and the testimonials and stuff like that. Over time, the profile of visitors to my website changed, and I found that more and more of those searches ended up were clicking through straight to the articles, and it meant that the homepage visitors were people who were more interested in me. So if I just switch to my website here as an example, so right on my website, the homepage, the thing I value more than anything else, as we alluded to at the end, is someone subscribing to my emails. So if someone comes to my homepage, the first thing they see is my pain-free marketing blueprint, which is the thing you sign up for to get my emails and you get for free, with details of why they should get it. Then they get information about my products and services, and then it goes into the information for the useful information. Now, 2 or 3 years ago, I would have had this stuff, the blog, much higher up and probably led with it. But because people who are searching for useful information now are going to specific blog posts, they're going straight there. So when they click here, they're ending up somewhere like that, and they're only going to my homepage when they click on my name or home. Then it's for people who want to find out a bit more about me. So it's sort of dependent on your website traffic, and it's also dependent on your priorities. So if you're early on and you haven't got any content, then focus on your services and your testimonials and stuff like that. If most of your traffic is coming to your homepage from searches for information, then get to the information quickly. If most of the people going to your homepage are looking for your services, then have those services on there.
Name and URL. Should I use my name or the one I have right now? So Soaring to Greatness, for example.
It doesn't really make a massive amount of difference. The URL, I mean, if you are trying to build your position as a real leader personally, as an authority in your field, then people might look for a URL with your name in it. If you're trying to build a brand for a certain type of coaching that is unique to you, then you might want to put it there. So I have 2 sites. I have a site called Pain-Free Marketing, and my main site at ianbrody.com. I don't think it makes a massive amount of difference. I wouldn't worry about it too much.
Okay, maybe the final question. I work with both individuals as well as corporate executive business clients, and I find it difficult to focus my website. Would you recommend picking only one service to focus on and let the other go?
It depends. Ideally, focusing in one area is going to mark you out as a specialist in that area. It's going to make people feel more that you really understand them, etc. And in the long term, it should be better. On the other hand, if 50% of your revenue is coming from the other service, then to immediately let it go is a bit risky. So you do have to think about it sensibly. Ideally, you do want to focus. It does tend to result in better results for most people. One thing you might be able to do is, if you can find a common factor between those individuals and the corporates that makes it, hits them in the gut and makes them feel, yeah, that's me. So if you talk about the problem they have, if you deal with a common problem that both individuals and people in corporates have, then focus on the problem. and make that the center of attention. And so you get both sets of people going, yeah, that's for me. Alternatively, you can have two different websites. You can have a website for your, for your corporate coaching, and a website for your coaching for individuals. That's doable as well. It's a lot of work to maintain two websites. I wouldn't necessarily recommend it, but it really depends. If only 10% of your revenue is coming from the one type of client, then I'd feel comfortable saying, yeah, no, focus on the other one. If it's 50%, then you'd want a managed transition away from one towards the other.
Super. Thank you very much for that, Ian. Okay, I mean, to give you some kind of scale of what you can do with websites, we get pretty much all of our clients through our website, and through online marketing. I don't think we do any offline marketing pretty much. I don't even network as much as I probably should. I mean, and we have clients in, I think, something like 72 countries now. And so what it also does, the online element, is it enables you to reach a far greater audience. I know a number of coaches that have secured engagements in other continents, had no intentions of doing so, but when the coach engagement turned out to be, I think it was a multi-six-figure deal, they were quite happy to go and spend a few days, a month, doing some traveling as a result of that. And so you do need to bear that in mind.
And plenty of clients are happy to work via phone or Skype these days. I have more coaching clients now in the US than I do where I'm based in the UK, and we just work on Skype or we work on the telephone, and it's all through the web. What the web allows you to do is to kind of micro niche. So whereas historically you had to be quite, because there may not have been enough clients in the local area that you could physically reach, you had to be a bit more generic in your approach. Now that people can find you via your marketing on the web from anywhere, and in fact you can carry out your coaching just about from anywhere, that means you can be much more specialist, and you can really have a message that resonates with people and work with the people you love to work with, thanks to the power of the web, rather than having to kind of trog around your local area, picking up clients who maybe aren't quite ideal for you, but there aren't enough of your ideal ones locally.
Brilliant. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to have to call this session to an end. If you haven't already, please go and buy an early bird ticket to our summit. This is a 30-minute session. Ian will be doing. Ian, are you doing an hour and a half for your full session, or even longer?
I have a feeling we may need to go longer than the hour, Ben, because especially if we do reviews, etc., because we're going to be doing the full online blueprint. So right from, how do you generate traffic, get people to your website, a little bit about what your website looks like, but a lot on the follow-up. As we alluded to earlier, the key for you, I know, and the key for me as well in terms of getting most of my clients through my website, is the follow-up that happens through email marketing. So we'll be showing you how to do that, and that will take a little while.
Super. Well, I will very much look forward to that, Ian. Thank you so much. We have, I believe, 2 more sessions left of the pre-summit session. So you've got one coming. You've got Darren Hardy, which will be a fantastic session. Darren's quite a well sought after speaker. He is the CEO and the founding publisher of Success Magazine. And we also have Igo Clutons, who both myself and Ian work very closely with. He will give you a fascinating session on Thursday. Just as I say, a final warning that WBEC's early bird price rises to $697 on the evening of Friday. So if you are going to attend and get lots of the sessions, then please do. One of the things that I noticed last night is, as I was going to bed, was that I was sit and I looked at my phone and I went through some of the recordings, and I realized that one of the uses of WBEC's is bedtime reading. So you can take your phone to bed, have your session there, plug in your headphones, and just sit there, or you can have it out if your husband or wife is happy to listen as well. And just you can watch a session, 30 minutes, an hour each evening, and it gives you some fantastic learning. It's so critical to your success as a coach to keep on top of the latest developments, be introduced to some new fantastic tools. So please do give that some consideration. Anyway, I'm going to let you all go and have a wonderful day, whether it's day, morning, noon, night. I know some people are joining us from Asia Pacific right in the middle of the night, 4 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning. Some of you guys are joining us from, so thank you so much. I'll let you get back to bed. But if you have any questions for me, you could email me anytime, ben@wbex.com, anything at all, and I will look forward to you joining us for the full summit. Okay, I will close by saying a big thank you to Ian, and for everyone who's still here, if you can jump on Facebook, facebook.com/WBECS. If you got value from today, please post it on there. Our presenters very kindly give up their time to be here to deliver as much value as possible they can to you. And I know it's awesome personally when I get lots of kudos on Facebook about this. So please give Ian that kudos on there if you get a few spare moments. Okay, so I'm going to call this session to an end and give a big final thank you to Ian for today's session. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
And thank you to everyone for joining us for today. Okay, everyone, take care. Have a lovely day.
Cheers.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.